Now on to the next point.
Finally.
HeroQuest was one of the biggest board games back in the 80s, the 90s?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I only played it for the first time with you in the 2010s, so...
But it was a seminal board game in which you got little armies of plastic figures and you went and did a dungeon crawl and you got little fold-up cardboard and plastic scenery to create a dungeon. You could rearrange it on the board to make different dungeons. And custom dice made in collaboration with Games Workshop. Something is coming for HeroQuest. Avalon Hill, who were previously the board games division at Wizards of the Coast, have just launched a page with a countdown with the old classic HeroQuest logo. HeroQuest is fondly remembered by, I think, just about everybody who played it. It was a real gateway game for a lot of people, and it now commands ridiculous prices. So, is this HeroQuest 2nd edition for those target audiences now that they've grown up and have disposable income? Time will tell.
Wow.
Sort of grown out of that sort of dungeon crawling board game, but at the same time, the idea of a return to HeroQuest is very appealing. That's some powerful nostalgia right there.
Okay, what's next?
Recently, a lot of video games have been announced as part of various conventions.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're just a couple of games that we are excited for at various degrees of excitement.
Final Fantasy
16.
16. See, yeah, it's funny that you say various degrees of excitement because just within that one 3-word phrase, I have varying levels of excitement.
Is it the final, the fantasy, or the 16?
Okay, so...
Tell me more.
I'm excited because 16 is my favourite number. No, see, here's the thing. So, like, back in the
17, man, it's all about the 17s.
Let me take you back to 2007.
Yes.
When it would have been like January, February, I got my copy of Final Fantasy XII just after it came out. And I played it addictively, and I really didn't like it. And then 13, I was just underwhelmed by. And then 15, I still haven't clocked. I started playing it this
14?
year.
You've missed 14.
14 is the online game, and I have not played it. Because
Right.
I don't like online gaming. I just don't. And maybe I'll try it one day, because I do actually own it. I bought it on special for like $15. But anyway, so 16... There are a couple of different feelings I have about it. So I read something today saying because Final Fantasy VII Remake is doing so well and it has the more modern aesthetic, for 16 they're going back to their more medieval fantasy aesthetic that they had in games like 9 and 12, rather than, because 13 and 15 both had very modern aesthetics as well. So I'm very excited for that aspect because 9 is one of my all-time favourites. Pretty much me, actually, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those 4 are like solid favourites of mine. So going back to a more medieval fantasy, yep, that's exciting for me. But on the other hand, I have this thing now, sort of post-12. Sorry to all the players. I know I actually have a few people, friends of mine, who are listening to this and going, what? Are you kidding? 'Cause I know some people in the audience love 12 so much. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel, okay? Mask off. But ever since then, I've had to be sort of wary about it getting too hyped up about Final Fantasy too early. Because I also remember when there was all the hype train for Final Fantasy 15, and I got very caught up in some of the arguments that were going on when people were like, what? It's
No
an
girls."
all-male cast? And at first, I was like, what? No way. And then I saw a really badly taken out of context quote from one of the Japanese developers basically saying like, nobody wants to see a girl's story. And I was like, what? But it was so taken out of context because basically what he was saying was like, this story that we want to tell here is about a boy's road trip. Cool. Okay. I dig the aesthetic. And also he was saying like, there are a lot of Japanese girls who would get really hype about a bunch of teenage boys going on a road trip. And that I also get. So,
and of course there were previous games which were very female-focused stories
yes,
as well.
There was actually, before there was an all-male cast, there was an all-female cast in Final Fantasy X too. Now, I love that game, and turns out a lot of like Anglosphere people didn't love that game, but turns out in Japan that game was super popular, so I feel vindicated there. Yeah. It was super, super girly. Whereas, Final Fantasy 15, it's not aggressively masculine. I mean, they're all boys, but like I'd say the aesthetic is pretty gender neutral. It's not like you've got, I don't know, what's aggressively masculine. Okay, whenever I say aggressively masculine, in my head, I picture camo. That's what my head automatically goes to.
The best my head could do was machine guns, monster trucks, and dinosaurs.
Okay, well, you can have a spoilers, you can have a monster truck in Final Fantasy 15. And actually, I like to roll around in the monster truck, so maybe there is an aggressively masculine part to me. But so when I think aggressively masculine, I think camo in my head. When I think aggressively feminine, I think just pink. Pink. And Final Fantasy X-2 was a little bit like that. So I'll actually give credit and say that, yeah, Final Fantasy 15 was a little bit more even-handed. But on the other hand, one of the things they did say was like, oh, don't worry, Cindy, who's the mechanic, plays a big role in the story. And then she's there, and she's got massive cleavage, and I'm just like, okay, I don't feel represented by this character at all. So I wasn't happy about that. And every time they go to the cutscene where she's washing the windows of the car, I just skip past that, because it's very, very male gaze. But that's okay, whatever.
So, other games that have been announced?
Go on.
There's also been the announcement of God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Which we haven't gotten around to playing the last God of War game, but I'm always down for more Christopher Judge.
Yeah.
Tilk represent.
More Christopher Judge and less of the weird cutscenes.
Yes. Rumours are going around about The Witcher 4.
Ooh.
Which apparently will not be about any of the original cast, but will be the start of a whole new series. The first three Witcher games being a trilogy, and then this is... Cool. Hopefully it's not like Mass Effect Andromeda then.
I was just about to say that. Oh my god, don't jinx that, knock on wood.
And then two more games that we've got a little bit more to say about. Spider-Man Miles Morales looks sick. I am so excited for that, and I'm so excited to hear it's coming out on PS4 as well.
When is it coming out?
It is coming out in, I want to say November.
This year?
Yes, it's this year.
Well, guess what you're getting for Christmas?
I have no idea. But I really loved the last Spider-Man game. I'm a massive Spider-Man nerd. Miles Morales is an awesome character, as finally the world knows, having seen and loved
Spider-Verse.
The Spider-Verse movie.
So good.
So good. And so the idea of the big, kick-off game for the PS5 being Miles Morales, I am so down for it. He's an awesome character, and it's about time.
Sweet.
So yes, Miles is going to be fighting to save New York in the middle of a war between Roxxon and the Tinkerer's tech-enhanced goons. And so, very excited.
Wow.
Lots of new powers that he can activate. Lots of cool story points with his family and with the existing Spider family. It'll be great.
I'm excited.
And then another game which... Oh, I wish I was excited for this.
Oh boy, are we ready for another 10 plus minutes of ranting?
A few years ago, this would have been the most exciting game I could imagine. Hogwarts Legacy, the open world RPG based on 19th century Hogwarts.
I didn't know it was an open world RPG, and my heart just broke when you said that, because open world RPGs are my favourite thing. Oh,
so
no.
Like so many people.
Okay, we actually haven't ever talked about JK on the podcast before. We've talked to a lot of people. No, because it's never been relevant to gaming.
Until now.
I mean, there have been games, but we haven't talked about it.
We were massive Harry Potter fans, everyone in our generation.
Huge nerds.
We have played the heck out of the Harry Potter board game.
Hogwarts Battles game.
I have
It's not even that good a game, but we've played it so many times.
We have so much Harry Potter Lego lying around the house.
Harry Potter clothing items.
All the books.
Baby clothes. Multiple copies of the books.
Do not buy this game. Everyone listening to us, do not buy this game.
Oh, I feel so sorry for the developers. And
Many of whom have
caught up in
tried
this.
quietly off the record to say we do not approve of this.
Wow.
We're just doing our jobs, and we are not affiliated with the stuff that you're saying. So if you somehow have missed it, J.K. Rowling is a massive
Transphobe. She's a
transphobe.
transphobe. She's a TERF.
She has repeatedly come out to attack the trans community.
Both female to male and male to female people.
When people have tried to help educate her on this, she has had multiple charity groups come to her and offer to help educate her on this, and she's refused them. She has...
She's used her past trauma as an abused woman to say that justifies her transphobia.
And, of course, this is all now becoming even more relevant when it turns out that her next book, written under the pseudonym of a man who created conversion therapy, I believe.
Robert
Galbraith.
Not very subtle.
I don't remember what his last name was. It's Robert
but it's
Galbraith
a reference
something,
to
but it's a reference
the
to
creator of conversion therapy.
Yes. Her latest book is about a man who dresses up in women's clothing to murder women. And JK has defended this by saying that this is based on real life.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, there are trans people who are being murdered in South America, and nothing is being done about it.
Not just South America.
Oh, that's just the one that I happened to hear about recently.
Try the whole world.
Being murdered, being marginalised, having their rights taken away. They are the most vulnerable community, and I absolutely understand if you saw this game and you desperately wanted to play it, because so did I.
Yeah.
It is an important thing, and you may well be saying, can I... yes, I don't like JK, but Hogwarts means so much to me, as it does to so many people, as it does to us. But if you buy this game, you are supporting a powerful woman who has decided to use her status to attack the vulnerable, to punch down with all of her considerable might.
Yeah.
And we, in good conscience, cannot support her.
I have trans friends, and she's basically saying that they are deluded and don't know what they want in life. I can't move on with that.
If you have a look around on the internet, you will be able to find people who have suggested ways in which, if you desperately want to play this game, you can, while minimising your impact to JK's war chest.
Yeah, I mean, there are whole different arguments that you can... there are some people going, pretend that...
I've seen people saying, pretend that Daniel Radcliffe made Harry Potter.
Pretend that Daniel Radcliffe made Harry Potter. But there's also other people who point out that that's not helpful because you can still trick yourself into spending money by having that little convenient trap. Basically...
there are other people who say, you've got to support the developers. Well, no, the developers have already been paid. The developers are doing work for hire, they're working to a wage.
That's actually a very good point.
Paid.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point.
You are not making any money for the developers of the game. All your money will go to Warner Brothers.
And a cut of that will go to
JK Rowling.
So actually, if you starve Warner Brothers of the money, they'll stop.
They will
commissioning.
Maybe realise that she is toxic.
I mean, Warner Brothers have had lots of
It's a horrible mess and everything is awful.
It is.
And while... it's true that there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, we are still responsible for our choices.
Yeah.
Do not buy this game.
I'm not going to judge you if you do. There's many... I mean, some people can quite rightly take issue with us buying any D&D products,
Oh, quite right.
So, I'm not going to tell you to not buy this game. I just, you just need to remember that you've
got to make the decision that you can live with.
Transphobia. Yeah.
You're supporting the decision that you can live with.
Supporting the livelihood of a transphobe.
So, talking about those mistakes, let's segue into our next topic.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.